Hello, everyone. Welcome to this next episode of Game Changers. My name is Junde, and I'm the General Manager of Gaming at Adani. Today's special guest is a very good friend of mine. He's a veteran in the edtech, games, and investment scene. He's Mr. David Yin, CEO of Storms. And welcome, David. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Hi, Junde. Great to be here and good to see you again. Yeah, so a bit about myself very briefly. I've been in gaming for a while now, dating back to the Nokia days where we were dealing with Java games on the S40 and the S60 devices, and then going over to mobile advertising and gaming, and then 5.5 years at Google with Google Play in the BD team. And then I joined Storms, back in August last year. And basically, Storms is a mobile gaming company invested in by Singtel, AIS in Thailand, SK Telecom in Korea, as well as EDB Ventures in Singapore. And we focus on two business lines. We are a hyper casual game publisher, okay. As well as that, we're building a social instant gaming platform for the emerging markets. So we are based in Singapore, and we have a team of about 55 based in Singapore.
It's great to hear. Thank you. And actually, picking up on one of the things you mentioned, you guys are invested by three telcos. So can I ask, what's the typical reaction you get from someone who just learned about that? And what's your response to that, being invested by three telcos?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I get this question a lot, actually, during my coffee sessions and beer sessions. And the sort of questions I get is a bit mixed.
Do you give the
So,
same answer if it's a coffee session or a beer session?
Actually, the answer is still the same, yeah. But
Okay.
it's kind of interesting because some of the reaction I get is, oh, is it easy to work with three telcos who have been around for a very long time? And the short answer is, it's been pretty good. They kind of let us run autonomously, independently and autonomously as well. And they do provide a lot of strategic value and advantages for us, when we carry out user acquisition campaigns across the regions and all that. There are obviously, certain policies and procedures that we have to follow, and in terms of shareholders and reporting and all that, which is completely fine. But overall, I think for me personally, it's been fantastic having three key strategic partners, especially around the joint marketing campaigns and the advantages we get on the customer acquisition cost side of the business. But overall, like I said, they pretty much let us run independently, and they do provide a lot of significant strategic value to us. Yeah.
That's great to hear. Thank you. Okay, so speaking of hyper casual, which is what you guys are focusing on, let us start with some brief insights about hyper casual. So hyper casual is the #1 gaming genre by worldwide downloads last year, amassing over 10.7 billion downloads, which is a 79% year-on-year growth. And amongst all the hyper casual genres, these are the top subgenres. So it's led by the puzzle trivia subgenre, which had not just the biggest. So this is led by the puzzle and trivia subgenre, followed by the runners and racing, as well as .io subgenres. Also noteworthy is the one subgenre with the highest growth here, and it is the simulation hyper-casual subgenre, and it features a lot of driving simulation games. Next, let's take a quick look at the top hyper-casual games of last year. So it's led by Hunter Assassin, Brainout, Save the Girl, and so on. Okay, so crossing over from the top games to your favorite game, David.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
David, please tell us about your favorite game amongst your company's portfolio.
Yeah, sure. So it's it's a really tough question because we publish three games. We publish a Umbra puzzle 3D game. We published a zombie first-person shooter game, and we've also published a Tricky Kick football kind of soccer game. And I would say out of the three, Tricky Kick would be my favorite game. It's a hyper-casual game. Football in Singapore, called football. It's football in Singapore and soccer overseas. In the US and Australia. And basically, there are a couple of reasons why I love this game. Yeah, it's easy to play. It's easy to understand. It's basically you're controlling a football and you are moving the football and dribbling the football past obstacles in a really puzzle format. And then at the end of this sort of once you pass all these obstacles, you then shoot the ball towards the goal. Yeah. And these obstacles could be blocks, it could be robots coming at you, it could be trees, it could be wheels, it could be mechanics. And at the end, the goalkeeper could be either a robot or it could be a block as well, trying to block your goal, to shoot for your goal itself. So there's a lot of levels in there. There's over 300 levels. There's also, the interesting thing about power-ups as well. We've introduced an element of power-up. So after level 60, I think, you can pay for power-ups and you can then get the ball to fly over the obstacles. You can also have a slow motion mode to slow down the robots coming at you or the obstacles slowing down, so you can dribble past the maze a lot quicker. So I absolutely love the game. I play the game every day. And the second great thing about the game that I love is that my 6-year-old son and my 4-year-old son also plays the game. My 10-month-old daughter is too young. She doesn't understand, but my 6-year-old boy and my 4-year-old boy, they absolutely love the game. They're much better at me at the game. Their reflexes are much faster. And it's so simple that we can share, our journey throughout the game. And I think for that, especially during COVID, I think, Tricky Kick has even brought me closer to my two sons, playing this game, and I can relate to them. They can relate to me. And it's fantastic. I love it. Yeah.
Love that. I think it's a great take on a great innovative take on, typical sports games.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool.
Right. Yeah.
Very cool. So moving on from your favorite game within your company's portfolio to the last game that wowed you, outside of your company's portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
What was it and why?
Yeah, so there are millions of games out there. I mean, you're the expert in gaming as well. There's millions of games out there, and I'm a very time poor sort of gamer. So I don't have a lot of time to play the mid-core, hardcore strategy RPG sort of games. So I'm a very casual, hyper casual sort of games. And I think that one game that has really stood out for me, and I've played this game now for probably around 10 years.
Wow.
Which is,
Snake?
I know, it's not Snake. Yeah, because it's a Nokia game, right?
Snake will be 15 years, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's when I was at Nokia. But no, so the game that has been around for a long time, in 10 years, and to this date still has like millions of downloads, is Fruit Ninja. Yeah.
Wow.
So Fruit Ninja has basically transcend generations, age groups, and it's a fantastic game because once again, it's easy to play. You pick it up, you know exactly what you need to do. You need to slice fruits, right? And then you have the different speed of the fruits, and then you can also have competition mode where you play. I play first in 60 seconds. I get X score, and then you play it, and then the winner wins in that game. So the game, and it's so easy to understand, and it's so easy to explain to your friends and family what the game is all about. And it's amazing that a game like Fruit Ninja, a casual game, right, can be around for so long. And it's been like 10 to 12 years now. And Halfbrick Studios released Fruit Ninja 2 recently, I think about 6 months ago, that then goes into more of a mid-core sort of gaming scene where they have power-ups and that sort of stuff. It's a bit more complex for me, and I don't really have time to play Fruit Ninja 2, but I continue to play Fruit Ninja 1. And once again, I also share it with my two sons who love playing the game as well. Yeah.
That's great to hear. And I think it's an interesting thing you say. I mean, Fruit Ninja still being a huge IP, still being very popular amongst audiences, young and old. And we see this sometimes again with all the other major IPs that have been around for a long time as well. If you look at like Angry Birds and all the sequels, the first Angry Birds still gets the most downloads. Same for the Talking Tom series and so on. It's the original one that's still huge. Yeah.
No, you're right. And even like Candy Crush has been around for a very, very long time. And it's always the original one that has this very loyal following and the original IP, and it just transcends generation and age groups. It's amazing. What's your favorite game?
Oh, I'm more of a core person these days. I don't spend that much time playing, but when I play, me, I'm quite a competitive person. So I like to kill people in the gaming world. So a couple of games that I play on a weekly basis. First one is the Clash of Clans. I've been playing since the day they launched, and we still have the App Annie Clan 2 today, and we still do like a clan battle once in maybe 2 weeks. And The other one that I also play quite a bit, and I think this one is one of the biggest games in Southeast Asia, and it is the biggest mobile game globally. It's Mobile Legends Bang Bang.
Yeah, classic game, classic game. Yeah, I'm just so time poor. I just cannot get into those games. I want to play, like, I pick it up and I play games in like 5 minutes and that's it, kind of 5-10 minutes max kind of thing.
Right. It gives me a kick sometimes when you win in those games, especially when you're losing and then you last to the late game and then you win. That's very satisfying for me.
Yeah, no, can completely understand. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Thank you. So the next question. So can I ask what's your company's main use case of App Annie?
Yeah, I mean, we've used App Any now for, I've personally used it for a very long time. All right. It's kind of, I hate to say it, but it's kind of the Bible of the app, the app ecosystem in terms of data and numbers and analytics and all that. And because I've used App Any probably now for, over 7-8 years, I think, right? And, our over at Storms itself, we use App Any heavily to understand better the markets and genres that we operate in, right? So obviously in the hyper casual gaming space, besides the normal, the normal data around downloads, installs and revenues and all that, we do gather a lot of insights on the top charts, who are, who's doing well, what sort of games are doing well, because it gives us a lot of insights on what gamers are looking for right now. What sort of game mechanics are very popular with gamers itself, right? And what happens with our team is we get onto App Any, we do the analysis, we look at the downloads and the revenues, and then we look at the retention metrics as well in there. And then we start downloading the games ourselves to play these games that are popular, right? And then we try to understand, why are these games popular, right? Is there something special about it? Is it the fact that the levels are really hard, or the characters are really cool, or the color scheme is fantastic, or is there some sort of daily reward structure where people keep coming back every single day? So I think that without App Any, it'll make our life very difficult to make decisions in the business, right? We wouldn't know exactly what sort of games are doing well, which sort of competitors are doing really well, what's the gaming industry going, what are the trends like, right? So we use App Any pretty much every day on a daily basis across both our business lines, across game publishing and across instant gaming platforms as well. So the insights that we get and the analytics that we get has been tremendous and has been massively value adding for us. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And some of those use cases, some of those actions you mentioned, you guys take, like downloading games after you spot them on App Annie to look at why they are doing well with revenue or ARPU or time spent. These are some things that we are also trying to help you make your lives easier by automating some of this stuff. So with the upcoming updates of our Game IQ product, we will be actually looking to automate some of these analysis by actually tagging elements and features inside of games. How are they monetizing? How are they with offering rewards? How are they progressing one player from one level to another, and so on? So these are things that we're trying to put into a big data model and to provide insights, to serve up in easy insights.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great initiative, and I think a lot of game studios are becoming a lot more data driven, and they have to be more data driven now. It's not about is the game good anymore? It's like, what does the data tell you, right? And I think that that sort of insights that App Any provides is something pretty valuable. Yeah.
Cool, great, thank you. So the next question: how should other companies work with you?
Right. Yeah, so I mean, we welcome other companies, such as game studios and such as super apps, for example. So on the game publishing side of the business, we always work with, we're always in the lookout for high potential game studios all around the world, right? And what we do there is, when we reach out to game studios, we test their retention rates, their up, down, their monetization, basically their game performance metrics very heavily. And if the games have passed our internal tests, we work very closely with the studios to publish their games, right? And some of the advantages that we have is, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, we have the ability to acquire users at very low CAC or even zero CAC, right? And because we're a team of gaming experts, we work very closely on game advising side of the business. So we advise studios on, how many ads, should you put in the game? What are the placement of the ads? What does user acquisition all mean, right? What does LTV versus CPI mean? What does up down mean? What does retention rates mean? So we bring a lot of those skill sets and products to the studios itself. Yeah. On the instant gaming social side of the business, obviously it's not native games, it's building an instant gaming platform in emerging markets, right? So here, we do continue to work with HTML5 game studios, firstly. And also, we work very closely with super apps in the industry, and we power the super apps in emerging markets for instant gaming there. So always in the lookout for high potential companies that think that it could be a mutual win-win for both of us, and happy to talk to these companies. Yeah,
it's great to hear. And since you mentioned all these metrics, so in the specific genre of hyper casual games, are you able to share which are your most important metrics that you look up for?
Yeah. So I think for us, retention rates are absolutely critical. Yeah. Retention rates, especially day 1, day 7, day 14, and day 28 to a certain extent, right? So in day 1, we're kind of looking at around high 30s to early 40s as a day 1. And, day 7 would be kind of, around 18 to about 20, 18 to 21 there. So retention rates, number 1, are super important and super critical for games that are already live there. Yeah. Some other metrics that support retention rates and our decision making, obviously would be around click-through rates on the ads. Like, we would test ads and say, what are the CTRs on that? We would also look at, monetization metrics around ARPDAU, right? I mean, ARPDAU, we would then need to look at, also importantly, CPI, to work out what is the profitability and the return on advertising spend on our side. Those, I would say, are the super critical metrics that we look at on the game publishing side. Yeah.
Great. Thank you for sharing that.
No problem.
Okay. Next. So what do you think is the next big thing in gaming?
Yeah, it's a bit of a crystal ball question, huh? And a lot of people ask me this question. So I think that, I've been in the industry for a long time. And obviously, as you pointed out correctly in your slides previously, the App slides, hyper casual gaming is booming, right? There's massive amount of downloads, and we continue to see that, right? But in terms of the next big thing that I feel or Storms feels is that we're going towards a hybrid casual path here. Okay. Now, what does hybrid casual mean, right? Now, hybrid casual is, think of it in a very simple way, a combination of hyper casual games, but with certain core gaming elements in hyper casual games, right? So whether, you then have kind of like PvP or team team battles, whether you have more of an in-app purchase skewed away from just purely ads driven, more into an IAP sort of world and IAP sort of model. A bit more of a social element in there, because hyper casual games, you just pick it up, you play it, but with hybrid casual, it's another evolution, and it's a bit more social, it's a bit more core, it's got more core-like features, it's away from advertising, and it's more on an in-app purchase side. Although I would say it's still 70% ads and 30% IAPs kind of split. But we feel that that's going to be the next big thing. And we're already starting to test some of the hybrid casual games as well. And there's some really good ones out there. So I think for the next big thing would be that. Would be that trend.
Would games like Coin Master, Covered Fashion, these be what you consider hybrid casual? Or different kind of hybrid?
I think that's a different kind of hybrid. I think for us, I don't know whether you know this game called Sticky Clash or Stick Clash. So Stick Clash is a game that I quite like, and I play quite a lot as well. And that's basically like a puzzle battle game, right? So you have to work out, it's a puzzle, and you're this person, and you have to walk around this puzzle, and you have to defeat opposition, the opponent, right? And if you defeat the opponent joins your team. And then you progress through the puzzle again, and then your team becomes larger and larger. So your team may have 3 people, then it becomes 4. And then you choose a path in the puzzle where you battle with another opponent. If you beat them, They then join your team, right? But the thing is, for you to beat them, it involves maths and mathematics, right? So, if your number is 15 and the opposition is 10, you will beat them, you battle them, and you get them, and you recruit them as your team, as your team. So it gets more towards, it takes a lot more of my time. It's not like hyper casual anymore, but it's simple enough, right? It's simple enough to pick up and play. It's a bit of maths, a bit of puzzle, a bit of, it's not really PvP like full, but it's a team sort of, game and everything. So I think that's a bit more hybrid casual that we're seeing, the trends there. Yeah.
Right. That does sound like an interesting combination of dynamics.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So final two questions. So this next question is posed to you by Mr. Joseph Young, who was our previous guest on the show. So he asked about a story of a game that you thought wouldn't be successful, but actually it turned out very successful.
Yeah, and this is a great question, right? And there's actually a lot of these sort of games, but I think that the game that comes to the top of my mind, and you probably know this game quite well as well, I would say is Flappy Bird, right? I mean,
Yep.
I picked up, I played the game, I downloaded the game, and I said, my goodness, what is this game? Like, it is so simple, but it then gets so addictive, right? You're this bird, you're flapping around, and you got to try to avoid these, these brick columns and brick walls and everything. And I was saying, there is no way this game is going to be popular or successful. But look at the results of it, right? And the revenues have gone through the roof, the ad revenues have gone through the roof, the downloads have gone through the roof. So much so that the developer Dong, who I know as well, I mean, Dong is so low key, right? And he doesn't brag about it. That's a great thing about him. But the game itself, no one would have thought it would be successful. But then he's just like, it just skyrockets in terms of revenues and installs. And I'm really happy for the Vietnamese developer community. I think it's fantastic. Yeah.
Great to hear. And it's not just, I think it's not just that the game was successful, they were also very successful in kind of inspiring lots of developers around the region as well.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. That's
you don't have to be a huge outfit, huge team to build a huge game,
Exactly. It's an inspiration to other small studios and indie studios. Agree. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. So now we're at the final questions, and it's actually your turn to ask a question. So we'd like to give you this chance to pose a question to our next guest.
Okay, cool. So I think my question would be around this whole concept of, the new iOS 14, right? So the question is around, given, the iOS 14, what are the pros and cons of iOS 14 to game studios? What does that mean? Is it a positive impact? Is it a negative impact? And I'd like to hear, the next speaker's thoughts on it, the next expert thoughts on it. So yeah, that would be my question.
That sounds like a very timely question.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, David. So we've come to the end of our questions today. Thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge and insights. Thank you, David.
No problem, Junde. Happy to help out. Take care, man. Thanks.
Take care. See you around. Bye-bye.